sending us before, questions that you're going to put into the chat right now. And also we're going to share some resources with you. So with that, I am going to share my screen. Let's present now and share this screen here, which hopefully all of you can see. This is our pre-launch event. So we, as of tomorrow, are starting a virtual learning series. And these are workshops, face-to-face virtual workshops, where we're going to have 40 people in each class going through different strategies for teaching online. So those start tomorrow. Today is our pre-launch event. All of the resources, everything we're going to share with you today, you can find those at edtech.team/Canada virtual resources. We're going to be posting some stuff there. So who are we? EdTechTeam Canada. So we are, as you see there, we're a Google Cloud partner. We are also a Microsoft Global Training partner as well. This series and this webinar today, this is going to focus on our Google side of things. In fact, 90% of what we do is Google, but we do also work very closely with Microsoft Canada. And if you have any other questions about Microsoft, we'll be able to answer those as well. But today, we're definitely going to focus on Google. So this is where we're going to get to our panel. Today with us, we have a number of education coaches, teachers, IT folks, just a representation of all sorts of folks that help us do what we do. So here at EdTechTeam Canada, there are only 3 of us full-time on staff. The rest of the work we do comes from these amazing educators that are currently in their classroom. So we're going to start and we're going to introduce these guys one by one. I'm just going to kind of pick them as I see them in my list. Let's start with Brian Carpenter. Can you show us your face, unmute, and tell us a little bit about you?
All right. Hi there. My name is Brian Carpenter. And hi there. Good now?
You betcha.
Right. My name is Brian Carpenter. I'm a teacher in Abbotsford, BC, and I teach at the Abbotsford Virtual School. I work with middle school all the way to adult students in an online and a blended learning environment. So lots of tech at my place, and yeah, having a good time teaching.
Nice. Awesome. Great. Glad to have you here, Brian, for sure. Especially that virtual environment voice. So important these days.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see who's next on our list. We have Charity Hellman. Charity, tell us a little bit about you.
All right. Hi, everyone. I am coming to you from Bragg Creek, just west of Calgary. I am an educator who spent 15 years in the classroom. Most recently, I've been out of the classroom working with EdTechTeam Canada. And most recently, I've been lucky enough to actually do some guest teaching for a couple of private schools in Calgary.
Fabulous, fabulous. Great to have you here, Charity. Next up, we have Chris Webb. Tell us all about you.
Hi, everyone. I'm a math teacher just outside Montreal in Quebec. I do loads of work with EdTechTeam and within my school board as well. And I'm originally from the UK, hence the funny accent.
Haha. And Chris joined us in our earlier event, and it was crazy, the explosion that happened in the conversation when Chris mentioned Jamboard. So we likely won't talk about Jamboard in this session, but if you watch the recording from last session, which is on our resource page, all sorts of awesome stuff from Jamboard and more coming soon from Chris. So glad to have you back again, Chris. Thank you. Next up, the man behind the wizardry, the person that put together this YouTube live, we have Danny Leeming. Danny, tell us about you.
Hi, I'm just making sure I've got all my buttons checked so you can actually hear me. I'm Danny Leeming. I'm from the Southern Interior BC, but Castlegar, BC right now. Teacher, librarian, tech coordinator, and a background in like media production and all that kind of stuff. So happy to help with any streaming questions, things like that.
Yeah, and that's actually another thing we had a lot of questions about. Well, what if I want to live stream some of my videos? And so Danny as well, we're going to hopefully get him to create a little cheat sheet for us so we can learn how to do all of this awesomeness. So thank you, Danny. Glad to have you here. Darren Malte. Tell us a little bit about you.
I'm a tech facilitator here just near Edmonton, and I like long walks on the beach and getting 750 teachers online in 3 days. That's what I like to do for fun. So, yeah.
Nice. And we saw it the last series we just did earlier today. Darren has a guitar in the background, and we sort of started things off teasing that maybe Darren might play guitar. And in the end, he actually did. And it feels like he's a little more confident about the guitar. The face is getting a bit red, maybe. Well, we'll see. But I have a feeling we'll hear some guitar a little bit later on. Thank you, Darren. Glad to have you back. All right. Oh, George. George was here with us earlier today. George is our only non-Canadian panelist. That said, George is an honorary Canadian. He does a lot of work up here. A lot of people probably watching have seen George, and we're just thrilled to have him involved in this virtual series. So George, tell us about you.
Okay, I'm a Cancer. I love long walks on the beach with Darren. I am a technology coordinator in Santa Rosa, California, which is about an hour, 45 minutes away from San Francisco. When Michelle asked me about this thing, I was super excited because we've gone through a couple school breakups with fires and things that we've done. So remote learning and all the things that we're talking about have been things that have been part of our reality. So we're going to get through this. And even though I know right now we don't know how, you're going to have some pretty cool stuff that's going to be able to be shown to you and hopefully implement to your teacher from now on. So I'm excited about this opportunity.
Nice. Thanks, George. So glad to have you here. Next up, we have the one half of Shooks and GIF. We have Jen Giffen on the call. Jen, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Jen Giffen, and I thought I was the only one who went on those long walks on the beach with Darren, but thanks for that revelation, George. I am one half of Shooks and GIF, the podcast. I am also a teacher librarian in the York Region District School Board, just north of Toronto, and a former digital literacy consultant in there too. So do a lot of work in the ed tech world and really love it. I'm really excited about all the things that we're going to be able to do with our students, and looking for the silver lining that will come during this pandemic. So I'm excited to be here and share with everybody.
Nice, yeah. And just so happy we're finding that silver lining, right? Like just this, like groups of educators getting together to share and help other educators is pretty awesome. Anyway, so yeah, thanks so much, Jen, for being here. Joël Charlebois, tu vas parler en français ou en anglais?
Je préfère les deux. Hi, everyone. My name is Joel Charlebois. I'm an EdTech consultant and coach from Eastern Ontario in the French Catholic School Board. I do a lot of work with EdTech, and I do some with my school board as well. I'm just having a whole lot of fun and getting a chance to meet all of you, this team right now, and then the extended team that's all over the internet. I don't like the beach so much, but I love getting lost in the forest. So hopefully, talk to you soon.
Fabulous. Thanks, Joelle. And moving down, we have Trevor Beck, who is joining us from the post-secondary world. Trevor, tell us a little bit about you.
I'm a technology trainer at MacEwan University here in Edmonton, Alberta. We are a Google Microsoft blend university. We also do Blackboard and WebEx. And Darren, I like to watch.
Nice. All right. And then rounding up our crew, we have Trish Rofi from Edmonton.
Hey there. So I'm really excited to be part of this. I'm an emerging technology consultant here in Edmonton, Alberta for our Edmonton Catholic schools. And I have to say, I know all of us are looking at facing these challenging times. We're a very new to Google for Education division. This is only our 4th year having it. And I have to say, I would be even more terrified if we didn't have these amazing tools to help us get through this. And so I'm excited to share that opportunity with other teachers out there, just to know that we can face this together, and we've got the tools to be able to do it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And the attitude, just the positivity, like we got this. So awesome, Trish. So great to have you here as well. All right. Did I miss anyone on the panel? I think I got everyone right. I'm going to take us back, and I'm going to do some more screen sharing, and we're going to share some resources for everyone here. Let's just take a look. I this. Is that going to show up? Awesome. So in addition to the panel that we have here, there is a conversation going on in the chat, which I wish I could pay attention to, but I can't. But thankfully, we have the lovely Emily Fitzpatrick and Michelle Sturba, the other two full-time employees here at EdTechTeam Canada. They're manning that chat and sending us messages as they see fit. So thank you to all of you that are having a great conversation over there in the chat. Let's talk about why we're here. So it was, I think, a week and a half ago that we had this idea to help support teachers going into teaching online. And thankfully, Google Canada and Google for Education said, hey, we'll stand behind this. Let's do it. And so we were able to launch this virtual learning series, which starts tomorrow. We have 6 different workshops every single day. They are all full. But we are going to be launching another event starting April 7th. So watch for that. That's the information there. But again, none of this would be possible without Google Canada and Google for Education. Thank you guys so much for that. Alas, we are here. We know there's so many questions out there. We sent out a form. We had some questions come in, so we're going to answer those. We also had some questions this morning that we didn't get a chance to answer, so we're going to answer those as well. So stay tuned for that. But first of all, we are going to share some resources. We know there's so much coming at you and it's hard to keep track. Well, what should I be using? Now there's new stuff. We believe we've got 4, count them 4, nice, easy resources that at least can get you started. So if you didn't get a chance to get into the virtual learning series, this at least is information you can take and learn on your own. And then hopefully you'll be able to join the series in the coming weeks. All right, so resource number 1. The Teacher Center, Google's Teacher Center. This is a gold mine of resources for all things Google. So teachercenter.withgoogle.com. You go to the Teacher Center, you're going to find all sorts of resources just to help you teach pedagogy ideas. And then as well, if you go to the resources here, each one of the G Suite tools, you'll be able to go into more information there. So Google Classroom, it will teach you how to use Google Classroom, Docs, Forms, etc. It's all there for you. Danny, I'm going to mute your mic just because there's a little bit of, there we go, awesome. That there, I just wanted to show you that if your students are making noise, you can mute them on Google Meet. All right, enough of that. Let's go back to our Teacher Center with Google. Ça, c'est aussi disponible en français. So this is still the Teacher Center with google.com. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom of that page, you'll see that you can change the language to French. And then you have all of those resources available to you en français aussi. All right, what do we have next? Oh, YouTube. Where would we be without YouTube, right? Learnathome.withyoutube.com. This is an unbelievable collection of resources, YouTube videos, but collections specifically for different age levels. So you have your 13 and older, you've got for students 5 and up, and we even have our resources for preschoolers. This is a question we're getting a lot. It's like, wow, how do I teach online to my kindergarten class? Well, thankfully, learnathomewithyoutube.com is gonna help you get started there as well. I suppose I want to say one thing. I also said this morning. As much as Google is helping to support everything that we do, we tell you about these tools because we truly believe in these tools. Learn at Home with YouTube is just a fabulous collection, so definitely check it out. And Teach from Home. Brand new, just out a couple of days ago. This came out, I believe, from our UK Google offices, but this is the hub to help you teach from home. So teachfromhome.google. We're thrilled that our UK partners, so EdTechTeam UK, was able to help Google UK come up with this as well, and they're sharing it with the rest of us, which is awesome. It's going to give you ideas. How do we teach remotely with video calls? So how are we going to be able to use slides and Hangouts, etc.? How do we teach remotely without video calls? All the information is there, teachfromhome.google. And then as well, how do we just keep in touch with each other? How can we still work with teachers together, keep in touch? There's all sorts of ideas there for you. And then last, so this is our fourth resource here. And this is a compilation. Darren has just frozen his camera to show us. But this is created by Darren and Black Gold School District, bit.ly/remote tools 2020. As you can imagine, even like EdTech team, we can't keep up with all of the new resources coming at us. But Darren, when he's not walking on the beach, is adding to this website and letting anybody who wants to have access to it have access. And so we truly appreciate your work, Darren. Darren is keeping it simple, starting step by step. Darren, do you want to jump in and just talk just a bit about this resource?
Sure. Like a lot of people, we've been doing triage for the last week, getting huge districts and huge numbers of teachers online. And so just try to keep it really, really simple. I know everyone got thrown a million resources at first, and that learn from home is really great too. Just those simple ideas, like how do you do this simple thing? So my first process was just step one, getting into your online environment early, and whatever that looks like, usually just Google Classroom and maybe a simple site and email and phone calls. And for me, this past week, Google Meet has been the most amazing resource. I was so glad they updated it on Friday just to be responsive to what teachers need. And yeah, and after that, now we're going to start looking at ways that students can also communicate and participate. And that's this week as teachers are launching their virtual classrooms, and then the support things that we need, all those things that have gone free, like things for books and Epic and all these other tools, but trying to keep it really simple for teachers and not overwhelm them because they're already overwhelmed.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Wow. Thank you. Thank you again, Darren, for all of that. So those 4 resources, again, Google for Education Teacher Center, which is also available in French, YouTube Learning, Teach from Home, and Remote Tools 2020. All of those resources can be yours if you go to edtech.team/Canada Virtual Resources. So the link is there for you. As well, take a look up at the top corner there, help@edtechteam.ca. If you have any questions at all, if you want to connect more with Darren, oh, Darren is telling me to stop.
Oh, no, I just want to take all the credit for that. Like I work a lot with Trish Rofi from Edmonton Catholic School District, so a lot of that stuff, we share everything. So some of those things are from her and her tools. So I don't want to take all the credit for that, although yeah, it's us working a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it is that teamwork. And yeah, so glad to have Trish on here. So glad that you're contributing to Black Gold. By the way, Trish and Darren, 2 separate districts. So Edmonton Catholic and Black Gold. And how great is that to see districts working together to combine forces to create these awesome resources. So thanks for mentioning that. Back to help@edtechteam.ca. Send your questions there. If you want to connect with Darren or Trish, go on a walk on a beach. We'll see if we can get that set up for you. And as well on Twitter and Insta, EdTechTeamCan is our handle. All right, what do we have next for you? Oh, we're going to open this up to Q&A. So let me unshare this screen, come back to all of you guys. Let's see, perfect. So I am watching a chat here with Emily and Michelle. They're going to send us questions as they come into the YouTube live. But before we get to any of those, we thought the first thing we'd love to start with is just social emotional learning and taking care of our students, just emotional well-being. So I want to let's turn it over to Brian Carpenter. Do you want to just give us some tips, advice? If you have any links that you want to share, Emily's going to post those in the chat for us. So take it away, Brian.
Hey there, everybody. Well, it was a week ago on Friday the 13th, which is an odd day for, spring break here in British Columbia to start. And that was the day after, I got hit with another emotional thing about, our house got broken into. Everything's cool now, but, that happened. And then, on Friday the 13th, I had to cancel my trip to Mexico at the very last minute. And that was, emotionally taxing. I've been looking forward to this for a while. And I walked into the weekend all kind of bummed out and all that stuff. Into the week and started to see a lot of resources coming at us. It was like a flood of stuff coming, and all this and being a library learning commons teacher and, a former helping teacher in my district, my mind was just going, just whirling and whirling. I was thinking, how am I taking care of myself? How am I, as a teacher who's the professional, who's supposed to be able to handle this stuff, taking care of myself? I go for walks every morning, and not on a beach. It's in the dark, starting at 5 a.m. And I walk about 5 kilometers every day so that I can keep myself healthy and get some fresh air. And, I listen to podcasts like Shooks and GIF and educational duct tape and other things like that. So, that really makes me happy that I can do those kinds of things. I want to give some credit to Jake Miller right now. I was listening to Educational Duct Tape. He has a 3-part series, episode 39, part 1, 2, and 3, that happened on March 23rd, March 25th, and then today. No, that was last week, Wednesday, Friday, and then today, which is March 23rd. And he talked about tools for remote learning. And if you guys want to, we'll post the link to the third one there. You guys can go listen to that. But it's really important that we are mindful of ourselves as teachers, as how we are dealing with this. And then I started thinking, wow, my kids are going to be going through all this stuff. And how are they? I've just been reeling in with, how am I going to handle this, right? Let alone, how are they handling it? I've got 3 kids in my house, and, they're a little concerned about not going back to school. My one daughter's like, well, I like school. I like it, and she's not the academic in my house. She likes school for the social part of that.
Right.
So
And that's just, I'm just going to mention something that we talked about this morning, just that our students miss the teachers, right?
Yeah.
But Brian, I also want to turn it to Charity. I see that Charity, I think she wants to talk a little bit more just about that teacher side of things. And ideally, we've got some resources, Jake Miller podcast, hopefully, do we have a link to that we can get into the chat? And then Charity, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you were thinking on social emotional?
Yeah. Teacher wellness has always been such a big thing for me. Part of my Innovator Academy project the whole thing is surrounded around that. I have a blog, bewelledu.com, and I just love to blog about things we could do for wellness. And in this time, it's so important that teachers take care of themselves. We're going through a ton in society and in the world, and our kids are going through a ton, and that puts expectation on us as teachers. So I just blogged recently about a few things you can do for yourself. Like Brian said, get outside, take those walks, just maintain that social distancing, right? But enjoy that time. Take breaks away from your computer. If you sit all day, you're hunched over, take a moment to sit up while you're at your computer, but also get away from your computer. It's okay. Make sure your nourishment and your water is there. Stay hydrated. And most of all, I think, I loved Jen Giffen's recent blog post about worrying about that perfection and not worrying about it. Like, don't worry if you're not perfect, if you're not delivering that content perfectly, if you're not using the tools in the best way, you're using them. Perfect is, I don't know if perfect is achievable. Just be there for your kids, do what you can, and don't worry about all that, because it's just going to impact you in a negative way. Stay positive, stay there, stay connected to your kids, also to other people. I met Michelle online last night to talk about some things, and we shared a glass of wine online, and that was like the nicest thing. So, do that, connect, worry about yourself, calm, cool, collected, and take care of yourself is the biggest thing right now. Oh, and one more thing, sorry, I wanted to add, I posted today on bewelledu.com a post by a guest blogger, Nate Gildart. He's a Canadian, he's overseas in Asia, and his post is all about distance learning and strategies for wellness for our students. He's got a really great post. So shameless plug, bewelledu.com, check it out.
Excellent. Excellent. And I think, Charity, if you'll throw those into our doc, and then Emily can post them over into the chat, or if you want to post them over in the chat, that would be fabulous.
Can I add one more thing, Michelle?
Yeah, you bet.
All right. I was doing some searching today, and I came across EdSurge from an article from last Wednesday called Teacher Interrupted Learning and Social Emotional Learning Amid the COVID-19 Crisis. And I'll post the link in the chat because there's some good stuff in there. This is different than a snow day. This is different than spring break. we're in a crisis, and that crisis stresses us all. And you know what? We've got warriors out there. We are warriors. You know, Darren and team are putting together fantastic resources. Michelle, she's here. And, you know, we got to remember that we need to be the professionals, but we also still need to take care of each other. So get in a Google Hangout, like Charity said, have a glass of wine with someone so you can just connect and decompress, and make sure you're having fun too. Okay. So that's all I got.
I wanted to say, one of my biggest tech wins this week was my least techie teacher at a school did a Google Meet staff party on Wednesday after I showed them how to use it. And they were all on and they're all laughing. And it was it was a moment of levity that they haven't had yet. So that was awesome.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter is doing their online learning, and a great moment of wellness I saw last week was they had a virtual dance party. It was really cool.
Nice. Darren, like, how can you not take that as like, grab that guitar? Is there something, just one last little like be well sort of riff that you can give us? The levity piece? No, nothing?
I'll think of something.
All right, we'll come back to that. Fair enough. Okay, we're gonna dive into some of the tools now. A lot of the last event that we did earlier today focused on Google Meet and how we use Google Meet and the great updates to Google Meet. But one question we weren't able to answer, it was Angeliki. She said, well, I can't see all of my students. If I'm in a meet, like right now, I can see the 4 people that spoke last, and I can't see Trevor, who I don't know if he's misbehaving over there. But it's a reality of Google Meet, and how how do we approach that as educators? Is there anyone who wants?
Can I jump on that one?
Oh, we're all going to jump in. And I know Jen, I think, has some resources too, but let's start with George. George, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to defer to Jen. So I want you to think of Google Meet as some of the successes and failures that we've had is think about it as your group time. So you're looking at not a big, huge class. Even if you do Zoom, having all the grids with everybody there, it can be a little overwhelming, especially if you haven't seen it. Kids have figured out that they can record themselves in front of the screen, make that the virtual background, and just be away from the computer, and it looks like they're there.
What?
So, yeah, you should look it up. It's hilarious. But again, it's give me an opportunity to mess around as a kid, and I would have figured it out. So just know, whatever we're giving you, there isn't a perfect solution for it all. So think of Google Meet as your group time. So like, I know I've seen people do grade level meetings by whatever groups they're in. You're looking at more personable conversations. So like right now, if you look at it, I can see Charity, Brian, Trisha, Chris, Jen, and Darren, and then the one person sharing the screen. Another thing that I think that it's really good is that you have to teach the kids how to pin a screen. So whoever is speaking in a Google Meet, they show up on the screen unless you're sharing your screen. So one of the things we've talked about is mute your mic. If you don't need to be shown, don't be shown. I know some kids and teachers don't really think about this sometimes, but some kids who are not used to seeing themselves don't like you don't have to have your camera on, but you have to engage with what you say and what you do. Going big on that dance party idea, one of the best ideas I've seen is Spirit Week. I don't know if you guys have that in Canada, but like you come dressed as a costume. So I've seen teachers who have today is your favorite sports day. You come in your jersey. Crazy hair day. You just wake up how you look and then get on the screen. So I've seen things like that I think are pretty funny and just kind of a great way to kind of build the continuing of building your classroom and building your connections, and for some of the kids just having fun with it.
Nice. Awesome. I love that, George. Do we want to head over to Jen next?
Sure. So in thinking about how we can use Meet, because we just came off March break here in Ontario, and today was our first day back to our new normal, I guess. I started looking up resources, and lo and behold, Matt Miller, a great teacher resource and a good friend, posted today a blog post all about how to use Meet effectively. And I've sent that into our doc. So Emily, if you want to post that in there, it's really fantastic. It includes graphics, almost like infographics that you can share out with students before you have anything. And he offers some really great insights, how to use it, It's how to use it effectively. You know, Michelle's already spoken about pinning posts or pinning participants rather, muting, even removing if someone sort of needs to have that timeout. Although I don't think I would just kick people out in this situation. But if they're finding if something's frozen and they can't get out of it themselves, that might be a solution, especially if they're not tech savvy, if they need sort of that, I'm frozen, I don't know how to do it, can you help me? So remove them and then they can come back in, I think would be helpful. And then offers some suggestions too on how to run them successfully. So if you have that student that you know is going to be George and disruptive and find the way to get the video, have George be the guy in your class to have a collaborative Google Doc, and he's in charge of taking the notes for your class, for your meeting as you go, so that you have record of what that looks like. Make sure, like we said, you mute your mic, make sure you do things like if your bandwidth is low, you can turn off your camera. They also talk about you're really tempted to look, like right now, I can look over here and I'm looking at myself, or I can look down here and I'm looking at Darren. Hi, Darren. We'll talk about those long walks on the beach later. But what they really want you to do is remember that your camera is there. So when you are focusing on people and you want to look engaged, make sure you're looking at that camera and having students practice that. I would also suggest before you try to do anything academic in Google Meet at all, you have a fun day. It's like any tool. When I do it for the first time, I'm not going to dive in and do something that's really like serious, because the kids are going to want to play and they're going to want to mess around. And through that, you know, play, they're going to find things and teach each other and build that community. And that's really what we're trying to do. When we're using Google Meet and when we're doing this distance or remote learning or whatever you want to call it. Matt also on his post, just to finish up, also talks about different ideas to use these for. So it's not just, okay, get on and deliver the lecture. Like, we're not back to those days just in front of a computer. You know, yeah, it is for instruction, but you can also just do class check-ins, have an office hour and someone can just pop in and chat with you about non-academic things, be it students or colleagues. You can do the presentations. You can take students on a virtual field trip, share your screen and take them places. You can run escape rooms, digital breakout EDU can be done. You can check in with parents, have office hours for parents who might, you know, how many of us have had parents today reach out and be like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing with my kids. And it was like 9:33 this morning, right? So, and I was like, okay, well, here
Jen, I've gotta stop you there, because your partner in crime just arrived.
I saw her come in. Hi, Shooks.
Nice. So Jen, awesome ideas for me. Thank you so much for that. But I do want to turn it over to Kim Polishuk, who was able to just pop in. Kim, can you just show us your gorgeous face and tell us just a little bit about you?
Tell about me?
Sure.
Like, tell them about me? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Hi, for those of you who are watching. My name is Kim Polishuk. I'm a digital literacy consultant in the York Region District School Board in Ontario. And I was late because I was still with my kids all day.
And we love that, right? Yeah, no, so glad that you're able to be here with us, Kim. Thanks so much. So we're just going through some Q&A stuff, and we might call on you for some answers. You can chime in. I wanted to talk about Meet. Jen, you mentioned that, you know, we can kick people out. I love that Meet just updated so that students can no longer kick their teachers out. That was a huge update that just came out this last week. But we don't want to stay on that too much. Kim, or Jen, did you say you had one more thing?
Yeah, I have one more thing that I jotted down here that I neglected to say, and I really want to put that in there. One thing that students can do when you are in a Meet is turn on captions. So for our special ed learners, for our English language learners, turning those captions on, albeit they may not be the best, and George, maybe you could speak more to this, it is something that can definitely help with accessibility.
So there really is so much power in Meet for sure. And thankfully, tomorrow, our first of our series is going to be Trish and Darren telling us all about Google Meet. So we're excited. We're excited for them to kick us off.
There's one more thing I just wanted to mention before we move on, because she just made me think about it, and I don't want to take the thunder from Chris later on. But the biggest thing about Meet is that you can click on those three little dots on the bottom right, and you can record your Meet. So I've been using Meet as my video recording lesson plan, like video thing. So if you're not using Meet for that, I've used Zoom, but I have to download the video and just it saves it on your drive. It's such an easier process.
Nice.
And the live streaming that just came out too.
Sorry, say that again, Darren?
Well, you can now live stream Meet if you start with a calendar event. You can add live streaming, your attachments. You can record all that. You can have it. So, and I just want to add, I'm not going to repeat a bunch of the stuff because there's so many good points there, and all the stuff that Jake Miller's doing is great. But just you're probably not going to have a class of 35 in one Meet, and maybe you will. That's possible, depending on the class and the students. But the asynchronous stuff is probably more likely, and it's awesome for that in small groups.
Nice. No, that's great. And you know what's good? So George, you kind of alluded to this recording videos. And so there is a question in the chat. Has anyone dived into creating videos for their lessons? So specifically, like who's creating videos for lessons and how are you doing it? Who wants to take this one?
I can share my.
No, you go for it first, Chris.
I was going to share my Meet hack.
Go for it.
So my recent discovery is that if you create yourself a Meet and then you join it on your own, you can then go and hit the 3 little dots in the bottom corner and start to record it. And then you can record what you're saying to your computer and what's on your camera, but you can also screen share with yourself. So if you bring in another computer into the Meet, then you can screen share and you can see what that computer's doing. So you can actually like video record your lesson just by using Meet, and then it saves it straight into Google Drive.
What? Awesome. No, that's super, super cool. Trish, what else you got?
Yeah, I was definitely gonna to say that the Meet hack is really cool, and especially if you do launch a live event, because you can be just in there on your own and you're presenting your screen. But I have to say, one of the tools, and this was even before we needed to go to an online learning environment, is using Screencastify extension. It's so Chromebook friendly. Right now, they're offering premium access for free for all teachers as we're trying to sort of cope with this. And so one of the decisions we made as a division is we've pushed it out to everybody so they have it. And now you can not only have your camera on videos like this as a teacher for those morning messages and connecting with your students, but now you can also screen record. So you can go through over notes or over different sites or different concepts and online math manipulatives and different pieces. And I think too, it can help remove some of the pressure from teachers from having these perfect polished videos asynchronous. Like what if the bandwidth is not good? What if I cut out? Because now they can pre-record them and get several lessons ready. And not to take away from the synchronous things we'll do, but I think there's a power in being able to prepare smaller sort of micro learning chunks, and it's such an easy extension.
Yeah, absolutely. And saves directly to your Google Drive, Chromebooks. I mean, yes, it's fabulous. And I know George, you love Screencastify too. But the one thing I love that George really taught me was we can take any of those videos, and if they're up in YouTube, but you put those into Google Slides, and you can have just snippets of them. So on slide 1, we show the first 30 seconds. Then slide 2, the next 30 seconds, but then we can even chunk them even more just using Google Slides. So George, do you want to comment any more on that?
Yeah, because I think when you show a YouTube video, and I'm going to talk about it in my time when I have the session, but we expect the kids to watch a 9-minute video when you only really want 3 minutes of it, and the rest is just fluff or nothing to do with what you want. So in Google Slides, it's my video editing thing where if you insert it through a video slide, a YouTube slide, YouTube into slide, you can want it. So it doesn't have to. Oh, did I just lose you? Oh, and you can also stop it 1 second before the ads pop up. So that's something that I've always found is pretty amazing. The other thing I would really want to push with people here is don't go down the rabbit hole if you're not ready. I know one of the things we've had to adapt to is some of the kids don't have internet. And so a lot of the plans that we have to make all these amazing lessons, we have to meet them halfway. And a lot of times they have a phone or something. So one of the things we've adapted is using YouTube to present our information. So recording yourself doing 5-minute videos, and then having the worksheet that goes with it in the kids' hands. So you're merging the two things and working together. So that's one thing I think you need to leverage YouTube a little bit better, is that it's a great way to deliver content to kids when they don't have access to maybe a computer. You can watch it on your phone and you're good to go.
Yeah, no, it is. It's true. It's just fine. Knowing that there's a workaround, knowing there's a way. Awesome. We're gonna, oh, go ahead.
Could I just say one thing about Screencastify? One thing I really like about it is the picture-in-picture that you can put in the bottom right corner. So, you're presenting your lesson in Google Slides or showing a website and your voice is there, but for your students to be able to see your face and see your emotion as you're going through it, really still, kids want to see their teacher, right? Like, so
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
If that's true, if I don't see Brian's beard on Twitter every day, I get upset.
I love it.
The
All
features.
right, well, I'm gonna move us over into this next question. We had this question earlier today. It was, what resources are out there for French teachers, French immersion, FSL? Joelle wasn't with us earlier, but Joelle is here with us today. And now all of a sudden that question is full of a list of links that I'm not sure if Emily can post all of those links in our chat. But Joelle, that's fabulous. Can you give, what are like the 2 or 3 like favorite resources for French teachers?
Oh my. We've seen all those different companies, especially in Quebec, and Chris has actually put on a lot of resources as well. Our governments, either in Ontario for the French learning or in Quebec, they have websites for learning at home, and they have so many resources, and I urge you to go. And there are so many just publishing platforms as well that are making their books, complete leveled novels and books available for free. So for kids from kindergarten to grade 12, you have resources that are available. I know in French, either if it's funded by the government, so you have Bookily, which is under IDELO, you have access to that. If you want your kids to create, even from Chromebooks, I love using Book Creator, and especially for students who are in French immersion and FSL, you want them to actually speak aloud, you want them to hear their voice and practice. So using Book Creator, they can actually create their own books, just write simple sentences, and then they can record their voice as well. And they can use the reader as well that can read aloud the word that you need. Those are probably some of my most favorite ones that I use. And if not, just using Google Forms as a short hack. If you want your students to practice writing, use Screencastify as a teacher to record vocabulary sentences, or you could, as a teacher, just read a sentence, a paragraph, even just words, and then embed those videos into Google Forms, and then have just a paragraph text box right underneath. So your students can pause, they can rewind the video, and you can ask them to write down if it's answering questions, if you want to do it as a spelling, you could even do it as that. But it's simple to use. It's Google, it's embedded, and then you're using Screencastify, Forms, your Drive, and a whole lot of goodness.
I love it. I love it. And then also, like, I'm coming at this also a bit selfishly. My daughter just started French immersion this year in grade 7. So late entry French immersion. They just started speaking all French. And now, oh no, I'm just hoping that she'll be able to keep up on that French, and just having these ideas from you guys, having the links from Quebec and Ontario. We're in Alberta. I think, to be able to capitalize on the links you guys are providing over there is fabulous for me as a parent, and as well for those in French immersion and FSL. So thank you so much for that. And it was Chris Webb as well that posted a bunch of those links from.
Can I add? Sorry, Michelle, Jen here. Can I add something?
Yeah.
So the teacher librarian and me would be remiss, and the mother of French immersion children as well, and une élève d'immersion français, alors je peux parler en français. Audible just released a ton of free books, and they have books in there that you can listen to, full length children's books en français, Italian, Espanol, Deutsch, Japanese, that you name it, they have it. Alors, si tu cherches un voix qui est en français, tu peux aller là, il y a beaucoup de choses qu'on peut écouter.
Okay, do I know you spoke French?
Jen.
I love it.
It's my secret talent.
Ah,
J'adore,
nice.
c'est très bien fait ça.
Ouais.
Michelle? So
Yes.
also, a lot of school boards have access to ebooks and audiobooks as part of their library subscriptions, and students can still access those outside of school as well. So I know that at my school board, like, they have access to all of those. And I think, like, we're going to start reminding them on social media that they have access to those in high school. because obviously they can't go to the library and borrow a book at the moment. So
Right.
it's a way for them to borrow a book.
Yeah, no, that's all great information for sure.
One-
Darren?
One thing about that, I think when Brian was talking about this inundation of resources, that's what I try to keep it really simple. And I think the first stage is getting them online. Second stage is how we're communicating with students. This third stage of throwing resources is not where we need to go. We need to say, here's an example of a lesson where I'm using Screencastify to record the screens, and they're going to this Audible book that's here with this link, and here's the assessment that I'm doing with it. Like, at least some samples of that, because if we just throw more resources as tech leaders, I don't think that's going to help the average teacher. There's already a plethora of that, but it's like, how are you framing these into a cool little lesson that demonstrates an outcome? I think that's the next focus, the next stage of this process.
Yeah. And I think, Darren, that's why teachers are feeling so overwhelmed. And I can't do this. How do I do this? So yeah.
And this is free. And this is free. It's like, just stop. I don't need more free stuff. Just give me a lesson.
Keep it simple.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see. I want to go to this next question again, kind of selfishly. This came in from Mary Louise in Ontario. She is a band and vocal teacher. My daughter just started playing the tuba this year. And again, that's the class that she's really sad to be missing. Darren's going to bring out the guitar, but what are some ideas for band teachers to still be able to engage with their students as a band teacher?
Darren? I'm actually more excited about, I know we're not supposed to look, well, I'm even looking at the silver lining, but for me as a band teacher, like, you have the music up there, you're playing your instrument and you can record it and the students see it and they can play along. Like, it doesn't work super fantastic for us all to be playing together, but just the options for a teacher who teaches music or something, it's just incredible. Or a language teacher, just how you can demonstrate these lessons and have these awesome environments. Like, it's almost instantaneous. Like, it's so quick.
Now, I'm wondering if you can provide an example, Darren, of, let's just say, we wanted our student to play something, for example.
Okay, guys, I've thrown up the sheet. Well, I don't want to present my screen because I don't want to mess up your stuff, but I could, like, here, I'm presenting my screen. I got Hey Jude up. You guys can all see the website. Hey Jude on first chord. Don't let me down. Okay, guys. Right. And I could just record these little things and I could have, okay, I want you to show me that much or play along with this, and so much you could do.
So, no, but, and now in all seriousness, Darren, can you help me understand that? So you as the teacher, you would have the music, record something, and then the students sort of themselves would play that and record themselves. Help me understand a little bit more about what that might
just
be
like any other lesson, you could do it where the kids are in the room and you play a little thing, they play it back to you, you play a little, like it's anything, and then they try to do it back, and you're, no, it's up here on the neck, you're over here, no, you're flat.
And then
I can't
So
George, I want to hear George. I think George was chomping down here.
Okay, I'm not musical, so I just want to make sure that I gotten this from kids, because I am not in that realm. So when I see Darren play, I'm so jealous. But I've had kids before use sound, because we have Chromebooks. We don't have Macs. So on Macs, there's a thing called GarageBand that you can make beautiful music and all this stuff. But there's a thing called Soundtrap that works on Chromebooks, where you can work in a collaborative environment where you can share the project. Now, the trick is you can only have 5 projects at a time. So when you download the song, delete it, and then start from the 5 free ones. But the collaborative part where we can all play, because if you see Soundtrap, it looks exactly like GarageBand, where everyone has. So Darren would he would record the guitar. I think they did a rap. I'd have to look at it, but they did the bass beat, and then the person did the beatbox, and the person did the rap line, and someone did the chorus. But it's a collaborative. You don't have the video, you have the audio, and it works in that environment. I don't know. Someone told me they might be giving it free right now, but if they did, it would be so much more powerful. But having 5 is good enough.
Right. Awesome.
Back to what Darren's doing. He's taking and making an online learning object where he's recording him playing his guitar and doing that that's not me, but having a recording of a lesson is really important, because a skills-based thing like music or guitar or something like that, students can go back and rewind their teacher. And you ask your teacher in the class, can you do that again? Can you do that 15 times for me? Like, your teacher's going to lose their brain, right?
That's such a good point.
You know, this way with it on YouTube, they just go back and watch it over and over. So go ahead, Aaron.
And it's just such a powerful, it's not a powerful way of online teaching. It's just a powerful way of teaching where you could be, when we're back in our classrooms, I'm hoping we're still using these great tools like Meet to record these things, so that you're not going, yes, I'll repeat the instructions an 18th time. Or yes, I'm going to read this test question an 18th time. We got to use these tools so they can rewind you, they can play, they can process that information, right? Because not everyone's going to process it. We can't say, here's my lesson, now think about it and write that poem. Like, they need to watch it. Maybe I need to watch it 3 times. Maybe I need to watch it again and sit for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
No,
just-
it's so great. And you know what, you guys, we've got 7 minutes left. And as far as I can tell, we've only got one unanswered question. And this one came from Ronnie from Manitoba. And he's asking about photography. So he's a photography teacher. What are some resources for him, some ideas for him teaching photography? And maybe this expands to, you know, all of different types of visual arts. Danny, you threw in some comments. Did you want to tell us a bit more about those?
Yeah, absolutely. So photography is a great class to teach right now, because it's the one class when you get the cameras out at school and you're like, I can't wait to get out of this classroom to go do photography. It's very possible on a Chromebook. So we have a G Suite add-on for Google Drive called Photopea. It's not Photoshop. It's not going to do everything Photoshop does, but it's pretty darn close, and it runs right inside the web browser. So kids can do their photos and then do their light levels, their hue, saturation, color adjustments, their composition, painting, the whole deal right inside Chrome. The other thing is, I actually have my students have homework for the end of spring break that they're still expected to do, which is a visual photography story breakdown, which is taking good photographs, going out and using things like National Geographic archives, or taking material from photos they find online and actually using Google Slides to put the lines and the perspective lines and the leading lines and all that stuff over top of the photos they find, and having them demonstrate their understanding of photography basics and sort of the fundamental concepts that are being used there. And then Google Photos you can use to organize your albums, upload and share photos, share them with your class, move stuff around. And then also, if they really want, Google Photos also spits out photo books that you can buy right then and there, so they can have like a little yearbook of their own photo stuff. A couple other links here. Last year we participated in Skills BC. We participated again this year. And it's mock photography competitions, and you can set those up. It's a trades industry thing, and you can set those up and use Google Classroom to have students take the photos based on the competition prompts, and then have the other students in your class through Google Classroom vote on the winners based on the criteria that you set as the teacher. So you can do landscapes, blah, blah, blah. Like, we can go outside still in small groups, so you can do that there. And then the other last link that I had in was Mojo Journalism, which Emily can drop in the chat there. So Mojo Journalism is a list. I've just linked the app page. Kids have phones, tons of Android stuff that works on some Chromebooks through the Play Store. Mojo Journalism is a website made for folks who are in conflict zones or having to produce journalism in areas that maybe don't have journalism as a freedom. But it also doubles as a toolkit for teachers using BYOD to create really high quality photos and video and all that kind of stuff. So like the photo apps that can unlock your aperture settings and all the fancy stuff your DSLR can do, you can now do with your phone, and then use Google Classroom to.
That's awesome.
And then somebody just added Google Sites, so obvious portfolio website, because I have students right now applying for post-secondary. They need a portfolio. They can still do that from home right now for photography. They can still create those artifacts and still do that. So that's my thing. I got to mute myself in several places again.
That's the one thing that you said.
Sorry, say again, Darren?
I just want to talk about like effective communication, and not about all the tools, but when I was getting people online, they're like, well, I don't want to use Sites. I want to use Classroom. I'm like, that's awesome, but Classroom's not a parent communication tool. Like, you get the guardian. I've added them as a guardian. No, you're not communicating with the parent. well, I've given them the classroom code. I'm like, no, your parents are in the class now. So, email is fine, but I'm like, a teacher said to me, I've answered the same question 18 times. I'm like, don't you think having a website you've created with an FAQ and some information would be a good thing? Like, that would be great. Sites.new. I'm like, what? Sites.new? And they're like, you've created a site. How hard was that? It was so easy.
Nice.
Right? And I walked them through doing that in Meet.
That's so cool.
I'd like to give a quick shout out, actually. Someone watching us right now, Jesslyn Swanson down in Medicine Hat, she created a fabulous outward facing website for her parents and students. And that's exactly it, Darren. I was in a distance learning webinar with Google last week, and that was one of the big things they said. You have to have that outward facing for communication. So shout out to Jesslyn. It's awesome and it's a good idea.
Nice. And we only have 2 minutes left in the hour, and we still have to listen to Darren play. The last thing I want to finish on, Danny, those are fabulous resources. If anybody, either Roni or whoever the photographers are, want to connect with Danny or anyone else on our panel, it's really about connections now, isn't it? If we're talking about silver linings, and we're now able to connect with educators all across our country, that's pretty cool. So help at edtechteam.ca. Throw us an email. We can get you connected with any of these guys and more experts as well. Thank you so much for all of your questions. We're here. We got this together. Darren, I think you should, give us some words of wisdom through your music.
What do you want to hear? You want to hear Don't Worry or Hey Jude or what?
I don't know. I love your ones you make up on the fly. Like, come on, give us some of that. Really. Come on, Darren.
I just want to do the little.
All right.
I want to get Brian to sing. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause everything gonna be alright. Rise up this morning,
I don't know this part.
With the rising sun, my big long beard gleaming in the sunshine, singing sweet songs, melody pure and true, saying, this is my message to you. Everyone's gonna be all right.
Thank you so much, Darren. Thank you so much, everybody on the panel. Thank you, Danny, for getting this all set up for us. We'll get Danny to go ahead and sign us off. But thank you guys all again.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.